So we have that the height of females is normally distributed with a mean of 65 and a standard deviation of 5. We want to draw a graph that illustrates the empirical rule. All right, now, before we do, let's go back to our empirical rule. Our empirical rule says that for mound-shaped or normal-shaped distributions, bell-shaped distributions, all of those conditions are true. Now, it's very important that we have normal distribution. Otherwise, these rules that we have don't necessarily apply. So approximately 68% of the data is going to fall within one standard deviation of the mean. Approximately 95% of the data will fall within 2 standard deviations, and approximately 99.7% of the data will fall within 3 standard deviations of the mean. All right, so for the sake of our women and their heights, let's go. And here's where we were doing some z-scores for their heights, but let's do a little something different for this. We're going to draw a normal curve, and I'm not going to be perfect on here because, of course, I can't draw very straight using this draw feature in Word. So we have to kind of imagine that it's a little better drawn than it is. All right, now, with a normal curve, the mean is always going to fall smack in the center. So our mean was a 65. The standard deviation was 5. So let's go 1 standard deviation away in both directions from 65. If we subtract 65, we will get 60. And if we if we subtract 5 from 65, and if we add the standard deviation, we'll get 70. All right, so our empirical rule says and this should be nice and symmetric, but of course, since I'm drawing with this draw feature, it's not necessarily nice and symmetric. All right, but between here and here, 68% of the women should fall. Okay, so 68% of women that we come across in general should fall between 60 and 70 inches in height. All right, now, let's, whoop. I didn't mean for that to happen. Let's now go 1 more standard deviation away. So if I subtract 5 again from 60, that'll put me at 55. And you'll notice that I'm spacing these out as evenly as possible down here. And if I go 5 away in this direction, it'll put me at 75. And according to our empirical rule, between 55 and 75 inches should be 95% of women. All right, so 95% of women should fall between those two values. All right, now let's go 1 more standard deviation away. All right, so if I subtract 5 1 more time, I will get 50 right here. And if I add 5 1 more time, I will get 80. Which is pretty tall and pretty short. All right, so according to our empirical rule, between these two values, 99.7% of women are going to fall in there. And if you think about it, you're not going to very often run into a woman who's shorter than 50 inches or taller than 80 inches. That's going to be a very, very rare event indeed, 0.3% chance that they're outside of these bounds. All right. Okay, so that's what the empirical rule looks like when we try to graph it underneath the normal curve.